Alright, hi there YouTube, it's me, MorphsuitAmerica, and I'm playing on Dragon Blaze, the Korean version, but I'm also going to be talking about the global version as well. When it comes to this video, this will be part 2 of how to make rubies on Dragon Blaze for free. Now, obviously, if you want to pay the game and if you want to get rubies ASAP so you can buy a bunch of stuff, that's on you. But these methods are the things you want to do every day, or at least try to do here and there. So, this is part 2. Part 1 has already been done. You can find that in a certain playlist that I'll have in the description below, or you can just find that specific video of part 1 in the description as well, along with a bunch of other videos I already made talking about certain things. For example, guild dominion, guild siege, guild whatever the fuck you want to call it, and some other stuff. So keep that in mind. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I'll mention will be the key compensation. Now, if you play the Korean Dragon Blaze, you should know about this little event or this little incident. And if you're playing on global, you'll think about it logically and hopefully you figure out, hey, keys are kind of obsolete now. If you haven't, then don't worry about it. We're still in the process of getting the... We're about it. Well, actually, we already finished the Transcended Heroes. So right now we're going to the Transcended Titans. Keys, once again, it's debatable on the keys and stuff, and depending on how you view it. But to be honest with me, keys are just materials to make a Transcended Ally. So with that being said, if you think that, ultimating a key will suck later on, there is a compensation for that. And I'll have a chart on the screen right now displaying that depending on how many keys you have at whatever status it is, you're going to get this amount of rubies. Now, since it's global, it could be a tad different depending on the numbers, so do not take this chart seriously because global tends to do whatever it wants to do compared to what the Korean Dragon Blaze did. So, yeah, keep that in mind. But anyways, I just want to address this because this is one of the many ways of getting rubies for free on Dragon Blaze. Alright, the next thing I'll talk about is the raids. Now, depending on your characters and depending on like if you already did the raid and whatnot, then yeah, take that into consideration. But if you're new to the game, you want to make sure you make a bunch of characters of one class. So you want to make sure you make one archer, one paladin, one priest, one incantor, one mage, one warrior, and one rogue. It's gonna cost at least 99 rubies to make a new character, but it's kind of worth it because of the little trick I'll be showing you guys. When it comes to the raids for each of these different characters, you can get one-time rubies out of these raids. And let me show it on the screen right now with my rogue character because he has not complete, or he hasn't finished chapter 4 raids. And if you missed the chance of doing, epic, legend, or myth mode, or hard, legend, or myth mode, or whatever the 3 difficulties are when they separate it into 4 sections. When they decide to merge it and you miss like 3 of the raids, you can go back over here and do the raid again. I know that my rogue character already completed the normal chapter 4 raids, but he never did the other 3 difficulties. So you want to make sure you also go in order. So this is the second raid boss of chapter 4. And if you need to figure out how to figure out which raid boss is in what order, it depends on when you unlocked it during the storyline. So this was the second one that I unlocked during the storyline. And as you can see on the screen right now, I obtained 152 rubies. Now, if you haven't done all full 4 modes, and let's say you're playing on the Korean Dragon Blaze right now and you do this raid, and you're still new to the game and you never done the normal mode, most likely this will be maybe 170-ish or 200-ish. It's a lot more than what I received. So with that being said, make sure that you use each of your different class characters and run through all of these raids in order. Go to chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and most likely 5. And you'll be able to stack up on the rubies you invested in or you used to make these different characters. And this only works one time. Emphasis on the one time. So apparently I can't go to that raid because I'm not at the right level of requirement, but yeah, the thing is, you cannot do this a second time if you use the same class. For example, let's say I think I have 2 mage characters. So what I mean by that is, even if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 characters of the same class, they will not be able to obtain the first time rubies all over again. Depending on certain factors and depending on what you're doing with said characters, then it might be situational. For example, using this factor to just clarify what I'm trying to talk about, let's say your first character was your mage character and you already ran through all of the storyline stuff and you already completed the raids for each of these chapters on your first go. Even if you make a second mage character, she will not be able to receive those first time rubies for the raids ever again. And the same rule applies to your 3rd, 5th, 4th, 6th, however many characters you want to make. Now, when I say situational, it depends on where you decide to do X, Y, and Z. For example, let's say I make my first character and I decide to go halfway and stop around chapter 2 or chapter 3. Or I complete most of chapter 3, but I stop there because I want to make another mage character and give her a different build and then use her for the rest of my story or, progression. So, most likely she will not be able to receive the first time rubies for chapter 1 through 3. However, she'll be able to obtain the raids for chapter 4 and 5 if you haven't touched those raids or did the first time raid bonus with your first mage character. So as you can see, it's situational. If your character hasn't touched the raid, most likely they'll be able to get rubies off of it. And it'll depend on how much rubies you can get, because if they already combine the modes together, most likely it's going to be 100+ rubies. If it's in different modes, for example, let's say legend, myth, hard, whatever it was. Yeah, those different modes, it's not going to be that much, but it stacks up depending on how many times you do the raids and on how many characters. So when chapter 5 comes out, the Enchanter character will be able to obtain first time rubies through all of the chapters, especially with chapter 1 through 4. So abuse that in the global Dragon Blaze. You'll get a good, I don't know, maybe 200 to 1,000 rubies right there. And it's a huge estimate because I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah, make sure you do these first time raids with each of the characters in each class. You might be debating about it, but let me put it in perspective. You're spending at least 600 rubies, roughly around 600 rubies, to invest in 6 other characters. Not only will you be able to expand your gameplay and also try out a bunch of different classes and play with a different builds and all that good sort, you'll be able to get a bunch of rubies out of it because you're doing the first time raids, which will then stack up, and then you'll be able to get a good, I don't know, 1,000, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 rubies right off the bat. So make sure, well, I think I over-exaggerated with the 5,000 stuff, but if you're really new to the game, make sure you also do the part 1 section of what I talked about for Dragon Blaze, and you'll be stacking up with rubies, and you can spend that wisely on other stuff. And if you're wondering what you can spend your rubies on, I already made a video about that. Find it in the description below. But yeah, that's it for this point. Alright, so this goes hand in hand with one of the points I talked about in part 1 of how to get rubies. And it's the game modes. Specifically for this one, I'll be emphasizing more on Guild Adventure, Guild Battles, and Guild Siege, or Guild Plunder, whatever the heck you want to call it. I already made a video talking about Guild Plunder, or Guild Siege, and it's in the description below. With that being said, you want to find an active guild, or maybe you just need a guild so you can do these modes and hopefully you can get these rubies. And you'll get a lot of rubies off of these modes compared to all the other ones because you're in a guild, and depending on your standings in the guild, you get a lot of rubies for that. And you know, a lot of rubies mean you can farm more, and farming more is good on you, or you can spend your rubies to get essential items, and you might need to unlock accessory slots, and etc, etc. So yeah, make sure you join a guild and make sure you do these game modes. Now if you decide to join a guild, I think there is a slight cooldown, like a week cooldown before you can do most of the events. Or if you leave a guild, actually I don't think there's any consequence for someone that hasn't been in a guild and they decide to join a guild, but I think there's a consequence when it comes to someone leaving a current guild they're in and joining a new one, because there's a week cooldown for that, and you won't be able to obtain the rubies for the guild adventure, guild plunder, or guild battles during that week. I might be wrong on that, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But yeah, pretty much that's it for this point. Guild adventure, guild battle, and guild siege or plunder. Alright, so this last method I'll talk about is only available in global. The Korean Dragon Blaze is far ahead, and they already awakened and transcended themselves. There is no way for the Korean people right now, or the Korean Dragon Blaze right now, to get these rubies. It used to in the past, but right now, no, you can't even do this. If you're playing on global, you still have a good 1 to 2 weeks to actually do this, especially if you're new to the game. Now, the process I'm going to talk about is the awakening process, not the transcended process. There's no transcended process to get transcended. When it comes to getting awakening though, there is a process for that, and there are one-time rubies on awakening each of your different class characters. So just like the raids, your first time character for each class will be able to obtain first time rubies just because you awakened the character. And as you can see on my global account, I haven't leveled up my warrior and I still need to get those rubies. You could technically farm through the storyline and hopefully level up and get to chapter 4, but that's going to take a while. And depending on how much time you have, you may not have enough time. So, with that being said, there is a short method of actually getting any one of your non-awakened characters to awakened status. And this is more of an investment for later on. So what you want to do is go to the shop, click on the left hand side, go to items, scroll to the pets and items, and then go to the right and you will see these 2 jars. Now if you want to speed up the process and get to chapter 4, or you know, level up your characters, you can use these jars. Now what's the difference between the two? I already mentioned this in the past, or I mentioned it when it comes to spending your rubies on something, and you can view that video in the description below. But the special jar of growth will give you a bunch of extra items that can help you out if you're new to the game, like giving you a free helper equipment that's all the way over here, along with 5 SSS class select tickets. So if you want to, you can use that to your advantage. It's going to give you 5 SSS allies you can use for enhancements, or like a limit breaking a deified ally, or doing something else. So yeah. The normal jar of growth is getting you to level 99. So what I'm going to do is use my normal jar of growth and get my character to level 99. With that being said, it's going to take you to the character select screen, and now you're in chapter 4. Alright, so this is the stage where I get my character awakened. It might look funny depending on the cutscene, but if you have a bunch of keys, then make sure you get the orange revival scrolls from the shop. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, hopefully you know where to find the item shop, and hopefully you find the items tab, then you can see those scrolls. You want to get those scrolls that kind of cost a few rubies, because those scrolls will revive your keys. And most likely transcended allies. If you have a couple transcended allies on you, you don't need to worry about it. But when it comes to keys, know that when you fight against your awakened self, they will destroy all your keys. And that means your characters will be fighting in their deified version, or like in their non-key mode. But yeah. Hi there, Wintabana. It's been a while since I actually met you. You talk and I talk, and then you decide to assassinate me with your rogue ally tier, and that thing's actually in me. That looks painful as fuck. Last time I did this cutscene, Bill Snow was in the background, or Wei was in the background. No, it was Vante. So yeah, it was weird. But anyways, you will get first time rubies for doing this event, if you are successful in it. If you're not successful, then you'll have some issues. But as you can see, the key form of my Ragnarok key wasn't even on. It got destroyed because of this clone of me. But yeah. And now my character is awakened. With that being said, you will see first time rubies popping up on the screen right now. Right there. I awaken myself, I get 80 rubies. Now, I know that it's kind of icky to spend, I don't know, a couple 500-ish or 1,500-ish rubies just to get your character to level 99 using those potions. But it'll help you out eventually, and if you haven't even leveled up all your characters, you can just backtrack and use the method I was talking about with the raids. Accumulate a bunch of rubies because your character is high up there and you're just going through all the chapters to get your one-time raids for that character. You should have a lot of rubies anyways. So yeah, it's just going to save you time and some shoes, so you can actually spend the shoes on farming locations to get higher drop rates for essences. But yeah, make sure you actually do this before chapter 5. Once again, depending on when you view this video, you might be too late, but I will be releasing this 2 weeks or 1 week before chapter 5 release. So make sure you awaken all your characters. And that's it for this part 2 of how to get rubies. I covered most of the points in part 1. I know I was kind of vague on certain things, but yeah, if you play the game, if you do most of your daily stuff, if you improve yourself and get a higher and higher and higher ranking on world bosses or PvP stuff, then you'll be getting rubies at the end of the week. The only other methods of getting rubies for free in-game would be through the game itself. Like, sometimes the developers will give out free rubies, sometimes there's a GM event to get more rubies, sometimes there's a quiz later on that can give you free rubies. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's any other methods. But if I'm wrong, go ahead and put that in the comments below. Note, I am not accepting cheat methods or hacking methods because that's kind of dumb and most likely you're going to get stuck with a virus and stuff. But yeah, so pretty much that's it for this video. I know I kind of left out some methods, like how you can complete a different difficulty. Let's say chapter 4 in myth mode, for example. If you use one of your characters, you complete chapter 4 in myth mode, you actually get one-time rubies for that, for completing the entire thing, the entire story section again. That won't work if you have a second character to complete it, because that's only, one-time rubies. So yeah. What are your thoughts about this? Was it helpful? Hopefully new players can use this to their advantage. Do you want more rubies or more methods of getting rubies? Like, there is an area called Ruby Mines in chapter 4. And do you think we should be able to farm a couple rubies through that? I feel like getting a method of getting some rubies in game would be it would benefit us a tad bit compared to like waiting for those rubies sometimes, but who knows. So yeah, anyways, that's it. I'll see you guys around. Peace.